Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jim Ludema, Dean of the Calvin University School of Business, and I would like to start our program this afternoon with some Thanksgiving. So please join me in a big round of applause for the staff here at the Prince Conference Center and this great meal and their great service. Second, as Weba mentioned earlier, I would like to thank our table sponsors for sponsoring this event, and also a very special thanks to our two event sponsors for sponsoring the event. Let's give them a big round of applause as well. Third, I'd like to thank the team here at Calvin University, from the Calvin University School of Business, from the Calvin Center for Innovation in Business, from the Advancement Office, and from Event Services for organizing this event and making it run smoothly. Those folks include Bob Ames, Mark DeHaan, Ann Gertner, Kristen Groom, Elena Gill, and Lindsay Gorvet. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. And finally, I want to thank all of you, our Calvin business partners, for all you do for the Calvin University School of Business and for our students. It's because of your support that the School of Business is in strong growth mode. You may have heard that Calvin University overall this year is up 22% in terms of enrollments. In the School of Business, the numbers are even more encouraging. We're up 27% freshman enrollments this year over last year, and 44% over 2021. So that's great news, and a big part of it is due to your support and your work with our students. So thank you for that. Our growth is also reflected in our new state-of-the-art building that's right next door. If you haven't had a tour, come on over, we'll give you one. And in our world-class faculty. And in our exceptional students who combine competence and character to have a transformative impact in the world of business. Little delay on these slides. Our growth is also reflected in our academic programs. You may not know this, but we currently have at Calvin 8 business majors, 5 business minors, and 2 master's programs. And we combine those programs with engaged learning, experiential learning, things like our Global Business Certificate, our Calvin Startup Garage, in which students get to pitch, start, and grow their own businesses. And our many student clubs like Night Investment Management, in which students get to invest a chunk of the university's endowment, and consistently they beat the market. So engaged learning is a big part of what we do here at Calvin. But perhaps most importantly, our students get to learn business by doing business with the work that they do with you, our Calvin business partners. Things like mentorships, networking opportunities, and the CAP projects, Calvin Action projects, and internships that our students do in your organizations, where you invite them in to solve real-world problems and help your companies flourish. And the best part of it is that it's all around our mission. And that mission is to provide excellent, engaged, and faithful business education so that students increase in their learning, faith, citizenship, and vocation, and become innovative and ethical leaders. in their organizations and communities. And it is this pursuit that allows us together, our business partners and those of us at Calvin, to equip students like the ones you see on the screen to be agents of renewal in their communities, in their families, in society, and in business. So thank you very much, Calvin Business Partners. We really appreciate all you do for us. Let's give the partners a big round of applause. And now I want to turn it over to my colleagues, Professor Marilyn Stansberry and Professor Dirk Preuss, to honor a couple of very special business partners today with our 2023 Calvin Business Partners Award. Marilyn, come on up.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Marilyn Stansberry, and I currently serve as the director of Calvin's Master of Accounting program. It's my sincere pleasure to introduce Art Boderenbrode as a recipient of Calvin University's School of Business Partner Award. Art is a graduate of Calvin University, a tax partner at Plant Moran, an active certified public accountant, a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, also a member of both the Michigan Association of CPAs and the Illinois Society of CPAs. He also serves as Calvin's Master of Accounting Program Advisory Board member. He served in that role since the program's inception back in 2017. Art continues to be intentional about connecting both our undergraduate and graduate accounting students to public accounting professionals. In fact, just before our lunch today, I ran into some Calvin alums who mentioned that Art was actually instrumental in directing their path into public accounting, and that it was through Art that helped them land their first job in public accounting and was very influential. So Art has cultivated a vast network of professionals in public accounting through his more than 35 years of industry experience. Our students benefit from his extensive knowledge of tax across various industries, including manufacturing, service, and technology. Art leads with integrity, wisdom, experience. He's an outstanding role model for our accounting students here at Calvin. He's also an outstanding role model to our accounting alumni and our fellow MAC Advisory Board members. His articulation of and ability to integrate a Reformed Christian perspective with business and accounting is intentional and genuine. As chairperson of Calvin's Master of Accounting Program Mentoring Committee, a position that Art has held since that committee's inception, he also serves as a mentor for graduate students. Both formally and informally, Art has mentored several students since the start of the Master of Accounting Mentoring Program. Students describe Art as wise, insightful, encouraging, and inspiring. A former student stated the following: as a mentor, Art was willing to go beyond the essential discussions about school and accounting. Yes, we talked about midterms, job application, and practiced mock interviews. But Art was also willing to get to know me on a personal level, and even made sure to check on me over a year later when I was working through my first tax busy season. If our relationship was simply business, I still would have benefited greatly. However, I truly looked forward to our meetings because it gave me a chance to talk to my friend. Thanks, Art. I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Art.
My name is Dirk Pruess. I currently serve as the Vice President for Finance and CFO. It's actually a pleasure to hear Professor. I haven't heard that for a little while. As Jim said, I was a professor in the business school, taught accounting and finance, and this honoree has affected me personally and my students in a great way. So it's just a joy and a delight to be able to introduce Andrea. So, Andrea Prince Karsten. Andrea is currently a senior VP at Wells Fargo in town here, right across the street, a position she's held since 1996. Nobody's counting, Andrea, but that's a 27-year run, so congratulations. Prior to her work at Wells Fargo, she began her career as an investment officer at First Michigan Bank Corporation. Andrea has an MBA from Western Michigan and a bachelor's degree here from then Calvin College, now Calvin University, of course, and is a graduate of the class of 1986. She's also well decorated with various securities industry licenses from SIFMA and other industry certifications. Andrea's been a faithful supporter of the business program here at Calvin, and over many, many years has made special contributions to our students through her involvement as a financial supporter and a mentor to the Young Women's Business Institute and the Women's Business Network and other programs. Andrea has a heart for women, having built a portion of her practice in helping women in transition. She's used that passion to mentor many, many Calvin women students in our business school over a couple of decades now. Andrea's also had a powerful impact on our outstanding and still new financial planning program. We're entering our 4th year now. She's been involved in multiple courses, most notably as a mentor each year since we began this program to student teams in a very unique financial capstone course that we have in financial planning. Those students put together a comprehensive financial plan for an actual live client, typically a Calvin faculty or staff member or couple. And this is a truly differentiating experience. We've gotten a lot of notoriety actually in the financial planning world for that capstone course. Andrea has also been instrumental during the development of our Nexus peer coaching program, speaking to our financial coaches every year. Her financial support and connections, and frankly, a personal challenge to me a number of years ago where we met at a conference and she pulled me aside and said, "We have to get Calvin students here," and she went and made it happen. So that start from Andrea has allowed many of our students to attend the Kingdom Advisor Annual Conference. It's a large annual conference that supports the Christian financial advisory industry. Our students gain valuable connections, take part in a big job fair there, and attend outstanding educational programming with world-class speakers. It's had a huge impact on the most recent generation of students. And to put an exclamation point on her involvement at Calvin, Andrea is currently serving on our Board of Trustees as a classis representative, so thank you for that service. Andrea is married to James Karsten. They've just celebrated 30 years of marriage, so congratulations. They have 2 grown children, Joel and Gretchen. And interestingly, they come from a split family, as we say here at Calvin, where James and son both went to Hope. Andrea and Gretchen both graduated from our program here at Calvin. So please join me in congratulating Andrea Karsten as a recipient of the 2023 Outstanding Business Partners Award.
Well, congratulations, Art and Andrea, and thank you again for all you do for our students here in the Calvin University School of Business. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Bob Chapman. Bob is chairman and CEO of Berry-Waymiller, a global capital equipment and engineering consulting company made up of almost 80 acquired companies spread among 10 operating divisions around the world. Bob is also co-author with Raj Sisodia of the book Everybody Matters, The Extraordinary Power of Caring for Your People Like Family. In the book, Bob tells the story of how over the past 25 years, he and his colleagues at Berry-Waymiller have pioneered a human-centered, values-driven approach to leadership that creates exceptional morale, loyalty, creativity, and business performance. It is a powerful and compelling story, and I can assure you that what you hear from Bob today will have a profound impact on your approach to leadership and to life. So please give a very warm welcome to Bob Chapman. Bob?
Thank you. A Episcopal preacher once said to me, tell people what you're going to tell them, and then tell them and remind them of what you told them. So the message is simple today. We as leaders have an opportunity to heal the brokenness of the world if we simply know how to care about the people we have the privilege of leading. Because it's a faith-based organization here at university, I can say this. I'm an accountant, reformed accountant, from North St. Louis with an average education. I did go to the University of Michigan, got a great MBA, went to Price Waterhouse. But when you hear this message, my hope is that you'll understand this is not an accountant from Ferguson, Missouri talking to you. This is God talking through me about the way the world He intended it to be. So I want to walk you through that. Go back one slide, I think. Yeah. It's called truly human leadership. Just call it people-centric leadership, leadership focused on people. But Simon Sinek came in and saw it, and he said, he was an anthropologist, and he said, no, this is truly human leadership. This is the way we are called to lead others. But you can't ask people to be leaders. You've got to teach them how to be leaders. And it takes skills and courage to care. So I'm going to walk you through this journey. My granddaughter, about 5 years ago, graduated from Aspen, Colorado. And at the graduation at the Aspen Music Tent, as each child walked up to get their diploma, the families cheered and screamed in joy for this child getting a diploma. And Aspen High School is considered one of the better high schools in the state of Colorado. As my granddaughter walked up to get her diploma, I had tears in my eyes, as opposed to joy in my heart. And let me share with you why. The world that we live in today, and again, just for background, I speak in every part of society. I'm a businessman, but I speak in religious organizations, I speak in hospitals, I spoke to Congress, I spoke to the military, I spoke to the United Nations, and I speak all over the world. This is an issue in every part of our society, not just business, okay? Nonprofits, hospitals, education. Today, why would I want my granddaughter to go out into a world where 88% of all people feel they work for an organization that does not care about them? Why would you want that for your kids other than to get them off your payroll to get a job, okay? 3 out of 4 people in this country are disengaged in what they're doing. When I talk to CEOs of organizations, I say, you're all worried about the cost of health care? You are the problem. 74% of all illnesses are chronic. The biggest cause of chronic illness is stress, and the biggest cause of stress is work. There's a 20% increase in heart attacks on Monday mornings when people have to go back to work. Okay? Jeffrey Pfeiffer of Stanford, a leading author, who quotes us in his book, recent book called Dying for a Paycheck, and he doesn't mean anxious to get it. He estimates we're killing 120,000 people a year of work-related stress. When I was educated, undergraduate Indiana and graduate Michigan, I was never told, I never heard, never studied that the way I would run Barry-Wehmiller would affect people's marriage and their relationship with their children. I thought the way I ran my business was totally independent of the way people would live our lives. But 90% of the feedback we get when we teach people to become leaders in Barry-Wehmiller University is how it affects their marriage and their relationship with their kids. So again, picture parents going home from our companies with stress, worried about getting laid off, not being treated with respect. They go home and they face the issues of raising children and having a good marriage and living in our communities. We've drained them of their energy, and we have TGIF so people can have a beer and try and kill the pain on Friday. At the end of this speech, you're going to understand why I imagine a day where we have TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. Get away from the kids, the spouse, and get back to a place where I genuinely enjoy being with people. 58% of all people would trust a stranger before they would trust their boss. And okay, this is not good. I don't know how many of you are leaders and have people under your care, but 65% of all people in this country would give up a salary increase if they could fire their boss. Why are we glad that these children, these precious children we bring into this world, get a job? Why are we glad that when people graduate from this university, they get a job when there's an 88% chance that their life and joy is not going to be possible? So what our society is suffering from is leadership malpractice. We don't have leaders in any part of our society who know how to embrace the profound responsibility of the men and women in their care and send them home knowing they matter. Tom Friedman recently wrote an article in the New York Times, and he described it as a poverty of dignity. Not a poverty of money, a poverty of dignity. And when people don't feel valued, he said, they feel used, they go home at night feeling humiliated, and when they feel humiliated, you'll see anger and unrest like you've never seen before. And he quotes Nelson Mandela. What are we seeing in this country? In our homes, our communities, we're seeing a great deal of anxiety. We have the most prosperous economy in our history, and we have the highest level of depression and anxiety and suicide we've ever had. And nobody can figure, we think it's social media, we think it's drugs. It's right here in this room. If everybody in this room would walk out and look at the people they had the privilege of leading, we could dramatically change and deal with the issues. We don't need any presidential candidate, any governor, any mayor. We don't need them to fix the problems. We can fix them themselves. And that's the journey we've been on. So again, the idea of this poverty of dignity, not poverty of money, that's what we need to address in this world. So I think the message I want to send to you is business can be the most powerful force for good in the world if we simply knew how to care for the people we had the privilege of leading. I was interviewed by Washington University professors a few years ago, organizational development professors, and they said to me, after an hour-and-a-half interview, they said to me, Bob, you're the first CEO we've ever talked to that's never talked about your product. And I paused a moment and I said, we've been talking about our product for the last hour and a half. It's our people. I won't go to my grave proud of the big capital equipment we build. I'll go to my grave proud of the people who did that. That completely caught them off guard. Business professors in a major institution. I want you to remember this. The way we run our business affects the way our people go home and treat their spouse and their kids and behave in our communities. So leadership is a profound responsibility. Again, I look back on my education, my traditional business education, undergraduate in accounting from Indiana, MBA from Michigan, Price Waterhouse. I took management classes, got a management degree, and I got a job in management. What did I think I was supposed to do? I was supposed to manage people. Name anybody in your life you can manage. Name anybody in your life that wants to be managed. Why do we just, so the word management to me, from my career, means the manipulation of others for your success. Leadership is the stewardship of the lives that you have the privilege of leading. I was taught to view people as objects. I needed them for my success. I needed accountants, engineers, production workers, hourly workers, labor. All those words we describe, people, I needed for my success. I was a nice guy, but I was a traditional guy, and I was being successful. And success in our society is defined as money, power, and position. Doesn't matter how you get it as long as it's legal, because then you can write checks to charity and everybody will say you're a wonderful person. The Aspen Institute invited a New York Times author, writer to come out to Aspen and talk to the donors to the Aspen Institute. And he said, thank you for your contributions to the Aspen Institute. We appreciate it. But I have one question for you. How did you make your money? And they booed him out of the room. We have a society focused on monetary wealth. And then we can write checks to charity and everybody will say you're a good family. The greatest act of charity is not the checks we write. The greatest act of charity is how we treat the people we have the privilege of leading. We need the charities in this world to heal the brokenness we create from management. So again, what was I not taught? I was never taught how to inspire people to share their gifts with us, okay? I was never taught. And I was never taught how to care. When Bernie Sanders was running as a possible presidential candidate, he talked a lot about socialism. And the young people actually showed a great deal of interest in socialism in our country. So the CEO Roundtable, America's top CEOs, came out with a statement in defense of free enterprise. We need to think about more than just the shareholders. I know some of these gentlemen. They're really fine, good Christian family members, gentlemen. The bad news is they have no idea how to care. Okay? They were never taught to care. Their boards don't know how to steward care. It is about organic growth, EBITDA, market share, all the factors that create financial success. I tell our people around the world, we have 12,000 people. We're actually the combination of 130 acquisitions around the world, never sold a company. Cynthia and I have 6 kids and 20 grandkids. We don't sell our kids, we don't sell our grandkids, and we don't sell our companies, okay? I might like to sell a couple of my kids occasionally, but I haven't yet done that. A leader's responsibility, your responsibility leading an organization, is to make sure those people in your care have a grounded sense of hope for the future. Most people live in fear of being laid off, downsized, right-sized. How can you raise a family, decide to bring children into this world, buy a home, if you're going to walk in one day and be told, sorry, didn't make EBITDA this month, bank covenant's going to let you go. A lot of people say it's about getting the right people on the bus. I say it's about building a safe bus, which is your business model. And then drivers who are your leaders who know where they're going and how to drive that bus safely. And then anybody that gets on the bus is going to be fine. That is your single responsibility. The company, I stepped out of Pricewaterhouse in 1969 to join the family business. It was about $18 million, pretty much broken, 100-year-old business. Long journey that looked like this. It didn't look like this. A lot of mistakes early on. I survived my mistakes. And today we're a $3.7 billion company from China to India. We primarily make capital equipment. We serve major corporations in the world with consulting services and big equipment. We have big plants in Michigan, PCMC in Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And so, again, we are mainly big capital equipment. But our share price has gone up 14% a year, compounded for 25 years. Now you say, how does a privately held company have a share price? We're a family-owned company, and a lot of our team members have stock. but we have a market-simulated share price, and we're trading at about a 9 PE right now, okay, even though we're privately held. It helps us have transactions with investors. So Warren Buffett, in that same period of time that our share price has gone up 14%, has gone up 9.6. My point to you is not that we make a lot of money. My point to you is you can create human value and economic value in harmony. They're not in disharmony. So let me take you through my journey to truly human leadership from management. It's around people, purpose, and performance. And the first word is people. Your first responsibility is to the people that you invite into your organization, that give them a sense of purpose, to share their gifts, and go home at night feeling valued. Around a purpose that inspires them, so they share their gifts with you. And then you have to create value. If your organization is not creating value in alignment with your capital sources, you're going to hurt people. You've got to create value. You cannot be good to your people with a poor business model, and you're going to hurt people. So people, purpose, and performance, not 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3. When Harvard wrote the case study on our culture about 6 years ago, they invited me up to an international seminar they had from global leaders. And they spent the night before studying our case, came in and were discussing it for about an hour at the class. And I was invited to sit in the auditorium, never thinking I was going to say anything. I just observed it. After an hour discussion, the MBA professor, Jan Rifkin at Harvard, said, is Barry-Wehmiller successful because of its culture or its business strategy? More successful, which is more important? And then these 160 global executives voted. 75% voted we're successful because of our culture. Jan Rifkin looked over to me at the side and said, Bob, do you want to comment? Well, I'd never given an ounce of thought. And I stood up in front of them, came up and I said, I understand why you think it's our culture, because the case is a lot about our culture of caring. But the foundation of our success is a business model I designed in 1988. And I said, it's like Ferrari building the ultimate high-performance engine. If you put 85-octane fuel in a Ferrari engine, it'll start, it'll go down the road, probably won't win races. But if you put 91-octane fuel in that engine, it'll probably win races. It'll perform to the potential the engineers designed it to. But you can't put premium fuel in a Toyota and race a Ferrari. Culture. So our company was doing well with my business model, but when we had a series of revelations that I'll walk you through, and we embraced truly human leadership, we put 91-octane fuel in an engine that was capable of fighting, and we've outperformed Warren Buffett. You don't do it to create value. You do it out of responsibility for the people whose lives are entrusted to you. So again, it's a combination of a strong business model and a culture. My revelations, I can say this, there's no question in my mind God is using us to show the world the way He intended us to live. That's the only way I can explain how this accountant from North St. Louis has a message that the world is hunger for. The first revelation was in 1997 when I bought a company in South Carolina. And I walked into the lunchroom to have a cup of coffee before I started. The company I'd paid about $24 million for, a $55 million company. And it was March of 97. And you know what everybody does in South Carolina in March? It's March Madness. So all the people were standing in the lunchroom talking about which college team won, how much they won in the office pool, and having fun. The closer it got to 8 o'clock, you could just see the fun go out of their body. And I said to myself, in hindsight, why do people leave work to have fun? Why can't we have fun at work? That's when people express their gifts. So I walked into the customer service team, and I said, I got an idea. This is a $21 million product line out of $55 million. Said, whoever sells the most parts wins each week, $100. And if the team makes a team goal, the team makes $100. They said, what? We can't do that. And I said, yeah, you can. All I wanted to do was have fun. Had no idea, never studied it, never tried it. It was because I watched people do March Madness. Came back a month later, well, actually a quarter later. Revenue went up 20% and joy went up 1,000%. Why? Because people started having fun winning in line with creating value. Example, One person said to me, you know, Mr. Chapman, I always thought I was nice to the customer, but now I'm really nice to the customer because I want to win, okay? I can't make stuff like that up. It's amazing what they said. So anyway, why can't business be fun? We learned from that. Second, Episcopalians were at church. My mentor was director of our church. And one day after the sermon, I looked at my wife and I said, Cynthia, Ed's only got us for 1 hour a week. We have people for 40 hours a week. We are 40 times more powerful to impact people's lives than our church. As I walked out of the church that day, I said, business could be the most powerful force for good in the world if we simply cared about the people. We have the privilege to lead. And then the one that people remember the most is the wedding story. I was at the wedding of my friend, and he was walking his daughter down the aisle, and I saw everybody ooh and ah, how precious she looked, how handsome the young man was. As they got to the altar, he said, her mother and I give our daughter to be wed to this young man. And my mind again went to a different place, and I said, oh my God, all 12,000 people that work for us around the world are just like that young man and young lady. They're somebody's precious child. So the lens through which I saw people, prior to that wedding, I saw people as a function for my success. That day at the wedding, the lens was reversed, and I saw people as somebody's precious child. When you look at the people that you have the privilege of leading, not as a function for your success, but as somebody's precious child, it changes everything. So let me get my, here. So anyway, those three revelations created a totally different image of me, and I started seeing people not as adults, but as somebody's child. And our expression was, we were going to measure success by the way we touch the lives of people. So, what have I learned that I want to share with you? One second, I just got to... So leadership is a stewardship of the lives entrusted to you. It is not a job. It is a profound sense of responsibility. And my point to you is we can create economic and human value in harmony. They're not in disharmony. And leaders give those in their span of care a grounded sense of hope for the future. The key is a powerful combination, as I said, of a robust business model and a culture of caring around people, purpose, and performance, and it takes skills and courage to care. Again, I think from my standpoint, that is a message that came from God, and everybody that works for you simply wants to know they matter. That's the message I want. And you have the power to show them they matter. And parenting and leadership is identical. So, a couple of people, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I just got some water stuck in my throat. Can I pause for a second? Okay, did you think about it? So we had no idea what we were creating because it was this evolution of revelations. And a guy named Simon Sinek came in because he had heard about it. We had no idea what we had. He started interviewing our people, and he said, I'm no longer a nutty idealist, I've just seen what I dream of. And if it exists, it must be possible. Raj Sisodia, my co-author, came in and said, who wrote the book on conscious capitalism, which is Whole Foods, and he said, I always thought it was about the product. Now I think it's about the people. I'd say to you in this group, a guy named Bill Urey, a world peace negotiator, he came in, spent 2 days talking to our people, and he said he saw the answer to world peace. I said, Bill, you came to manufacturing plants and you saw the answer to world peace? He said, I saw a place, Bob, where people care for each other. Okay, remember, we started a university to teach people how to move from management to leadership. And the three things we taught them were empathetic listening, the greatest of all human skills that we don't teach in our universities or schools. We teach speech and debate, but we don't teach listening. So and we teach recognition and celebration. Cynthia and I learned in raising 6 kids, if you don't compliment them 5 times more than you suggest things they could do better, it's hard on them. Guess what? Adults are identical. I had an event yesterday in our South Carolina plant where we recognized the lady in our storeroom department for her goodness. And we surprised her with her 2 daughters, her son, and her husband coming in. You should have seen the tears in the 220 people as this lady was recognized for her goodness, not her years of service, not her achievements, and she was nominated by her peers. So we spend a lot of time focusing on the goodness of people. There's an old expression, shine a light in your organization, look for the goodness and hold it up and say thank you in thoughtful, timely, appropriate ways. Because when we leave work, we're inundated with the brokenness of work, with the media. So again, and one more, again, one of the things I want you to walk away with, the single most important thing we do in transforming managers into leaders is to teach them how to listen with empathy, not judgment, not to debate, but to validate the worth of others. It is the most powerful human skill. And as a Christian university, it should be the foundation of what you teach to every student you have a chance, not just business students, because we were profoundly touched that the people, 12,000 people, is the single most important thing. And Bill Urey, the world peace negotiator, said, think of the issues we have between Putin right now and China and the Democrats and Republicans and conservatives. Bill Urey said, I've been going to global peace talks for 30 years, and I now realize that's just what they are. They're global peace talks. The problem is we don't know how to listen. I'm right and you're wrong. That's what we teach people. We don't teach them to care for others. We don't teach them to listen to others. So as a Christian organization, the greatest single skill you can give those students in your care is to send them away with the skills to care for others, which begins with empathetic listening, recognition and looking for the goodness in others, and the skill of doing that. Each one of them are skills, and then culture of service, seizing the opportunity to serve others. Simon Sinek has a great expression because he works with the military and he studies us. He wrote the foreword to my book. Think of this. In the military, we honor those who give of themselves in service of others. And in business, we give bonuses to people who sacrifice others in service of themselves. Microsoft lays off 10,000 people. Share price goes up, incentives go up. It's broken. Their share price should have gone down because they hurt 10,000 people. But the public and the investing public said, good job. Despite 10,000 people, what if those were one of your kids who joined an honorable organization only to be told, we don't need you? We're taught in business, it's just things we do. We lay off people, we fire people. You know where firing came from? The French firing squad. Why do we use the word firing in business? It's murder. And if you study psychological studies, people get laid off. It's a horrible day in their life to walk back to their family and say, I don't know what we're going to do. So anyway, we can learn to care, and we are doing that. So in the book, we were compelled to write the book because people said, you've got to share this with the world, Bob. You've got to share this. So we wrote the book. It's topped 90,000 copies in 7 languages. The Harvard case study has been used by 80 universities from Japan to India. And I'm an accountant from North St. Louis. This message is not my message. I am simply the deliverer to you of the way God intended us to live together, where we genuinely care for others. And we move from a me-centric world to a we-centric world. And if it can't begin in a Christian university, where can it begin, right? So, and again, we are out. We have a leadership institute. So we have our internal university where we teach around the world people to become leaders. Grown men and women cry in the class because they realize unintentionally they've hurt the very people that they've been working with and their families. And again, as I said, 90% of the feedback we get is how it affects their marriage and their relationship with their kids when we teach them to be leaders. So we felt compelled to share this. Our single art, so we have our internal university, and then our outreach initiative, that we feel sharing this with the world is Chapman and Co. Leadership Institute, and our single largest client is Meyer Food Stores. They've been a client for us for about 5 or 7 years. American Airlines and other major companies are trying to learn to care. And what we realize is, why do we have to fix adults? Why is there a need for us? Because our education system does not teach us the skills of caring. It teaches us how to get a job, to make good money. And so we are working in again, internal university, we're working externally with our Leadership Institute, and we're now working with several private schools. Tomorrow morning, I'll be in Salt Lake City giving a speech to the nation's top headmasters of private schools on the need to transform education, to teach human skills along with academic skills. So, I want to leave you with this thought. I know we've done the best we can with what we know, but I hope I've given you a vision of a better world, that we could heal this brokenness that we're feeling every day. We don't need to worry about who's president of the United States, who's mayor, who's governor. We need to learn about what we can do to send those people home that we have the privilege of leading, knowing that they matter, and we can heal the brokenness of the world. Thank you very much. Thank you. The only thank you I want is, let's do it.
Bob will be right back, but we want to move into a couple minutes of Q&A. So does anybody have a question, so that when he does come back in, we're ready to go? And Bob Ames will run the microphone. Don't be bashful or shy. Go ahead. Raise your hand. Any questions for Bob?
There's a question. Somebody, as you get ready, a typical question I get in every audience is, what do you do about the people that don't get it? Because our minds tend to go to the brokenness, not the goodness. I just told you in our company we focus on the people that do get it, and we hold them up and say thank you to inspire. If we have an issue with somebody who doesn't get it, my answer to you is treat them like you'd like your son or daughter treated. In parenting, we have what we call hard love. Hard love, doing the right thing. That's our guidance for everybody. Do the right thing, treat them like you'd like your son or daughter treated. Yes, sir.
Yeah, under what circumstances would you or have you fired somebody?
What's that word you used?
The firing squad. Yeah.
We don't fire anybody. Okay? The answer is, it's just like parenting, again, with 6 kids. Parenting is hard. It's not giving your kids what they want. It's doing the right thing for them. So I would say to you, when we reach a point with somebody that it's not working and they don't want to get it, we give them, Bill Urey at Harvard said, we have, we have incredible patience, courageous patience. We want to give that person every opportunity we can to embrace and join us. He describes it like a bus on a circuit. The bus pulls up and said, would you like to join us in this movement to care? You say, I'm just not ready to get on the bus. And we said, that's okay, we'll be back. Come around again, and we stop and say, we're back again, would you like to join us? And we want people to step on the bus when they're ready to. So again, some of our best professors in our university today were the hardest people to change. But when they did, there's a guy named Russell who works in our machine shop. He ran a machine to a Navy SEAL, tough son of a gun. And he wanted nothing to do with it. Today, he's one of our top professors. Harvard wanted to write a book on the guy when they met him. Couldn't believe the transformation. So I believe, just like in our faith, we need to believe that everybody's got potential, but everybody's going to come at their time. So feed the hungry, start with the early adopters, and give other people a chance to get on the bus when they're ready. Okay? Other questions? Yes?
All right. Thank you very much for your inspirational words. 15 years ago, I was part of a team that started developing the indicators and how we would measure social impact in business. So I'm just wondering, how do you measure the impact of how people are treated in your business? How do you measure that so that others can recognize it and learn from it?
Curious, are you married? Oh, good. Then this can be really awkward. How do you measure love? In business, we have annual reviews. Can you imagine in your marriage having an annual review? I would say to you, I resist measurements because I think this is in the heart, and I don't think you can measure it. I will tell you that Washington University and Georgetown did a survey because they wanted to write an article, and they did it with academic rigor, and they found that 79% of our people believe we care about them. That's a data point. That didn't make... So I would say to you, but what they found, interestingly enough, and this is good news, what they found, which really surprised them, was a high degree of altruism in our company. Now, an accountant, I didn't know what altruism meant, but it means the willingness to do something for somebody else without expecting anything in return. And they were shocked at the level of altruism in our company. So I would say to you, again, you know, because I told you, it was a series of revelations that formed this Truly Human Leadership. It wasn't an overnight, it wasn't a consultant, it wasn't a book. So what amazes me today is that people come in from McKinsey to Harvard, come in and say, I've never seen anything like this, Bob. I mean, Raj Sisodia said he's never seen grown men and women come to tears talking about what it feels like an organization cares about you. Amy Cuddy from Harvard, who's one of the top TED Talk, she walked through and she said, I've never hugged so much and cried so much in my life. People wanted to stop and tell me what it feels like to be cared for. So northern Wisconsin is where it was born. That's where Truly Human Leadership was born. So I have listening sessions all over the world. I sit down and say, we believe in you. How are we doing? It's amazing what people will tell me that's allowed us to evolve and always be better stewards. So remember, we operate from China to India to Serbia to Russia. We operate all over the world. It is a universal truth that people simply want to know they matter. Okay? Jennifer Wallace just came out with a book, Never Enough, and she had a big article in the Wall Street Journal about the mattering movement. Again, I want to remind you, there's no way I thought of the things I just shared with you. Somebody's just using me to show the world the way we intend to live together. Isn't that the world you want your children to be a part of? Well, guess what? You are the vaccine that could prevent the disease we're seeing in this country. And again, I see it. I mean, I was at the spoke in the United States Air Force, and I asked, what's a great example of leadership in the Air Force? 13 squadron commanders. One squadron commander said, I had a great leader about 10 years ago. I said, what made him great? And he said, I think he cared about me. In every part of our society, we have brokenness today, this poverty of dignity. And if this university became a symbol in this country of what education could be to create the world God intended, it would make you profoundly proud that you will leave this earth having created the world that He intended, where everybody matters. Thank you.
Bob, wow, thank you very much for that inspiring message, and thank you for dedicating your life to bringing the gospel of Christ into the workplace and to helping to transform lives through the work that you do. Very much appreciated. I just want to let you know in 1 minute about 3 more events that we've got coming up in the Calvin University School of Business, run by our Calvin Center for Innovation in Business. The first is this Live to Lead simulcast that will be held on campus here, sponsored by the Maxwell Organization. Speakers will include John Maxwell, Marcus Buckingham, and others talking about leadership, and it's a great opportunity for you to come to network and to learn with other business leaders in the West Michigan area. Then next, and this is on October 13, Catherine Leary Alsdorf will be here. Catherine is the former executive director of the Center for Faith and Work at Redeemer Presbyterian Church in New York City, and she is the co-author of the book Every Good Endeavor, Connecting Your Work to God's Work, written with Tim Keller before his passing. She will be here for another event, but doing a public event on, I think that's Friday night. Yes, Friday night, October 13th. So we encourage you to come to that. And then finally, our next session in our executive breakfast series will be November 15 on the future of hypersonic travel. Now, doesn't that sound like fun? Speaking of fun at work. And we will have Sassy Dugalby, the CEO and co-founder of Venus Aerospace, along with our very own Chris Palmer, who is an adjunct faculty member in our School of Business and also is the Director of Corporate Strategy at Venus Aerospace. So that will be a really entertaining and interesting session. So we encourage you to come to those sessions and join us here at the School of Business, and we thank you for being here today. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.